Welcome into lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream, as we come your way twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11:30 a.m. Pacific time into the noon hour, as we keep you connected with student athletes, coaches, alumni, and different members of our Lewis and Clark College community as we move into the October part of the fall 2021 semester. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Goff. I am the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark. We are the Pioneers based out of Portland, Oregon, and members of NCAA Division III. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to talk with you, but very excited to do so, as today we'll talk to a junior from Lewis and Clark men's swimming. We'll have Eric Norman on the show, an all-conference selection back in Eric's freshman year, back at the 2020 Northwest Conference Championships, and now going into a full swim season. The team is already practicing, and we'll get a take on what the winter season looks like coming up for the Pios. We invite you to get in touch with us, and you can do so through comments or questions in any of our chats. This is new also, as we've changed kind of the way that we put the show together. We're live right now on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and eventually we'll be on lcpioneers.com as well. Very excited to have you along with us as we keep lcpioneers.com live going into the fall 2021 season, which is well underway, and a chance to share with you kind of what things look like. If you go to lcpioneers.com right now, a lot of big things happened. We had Rachel Rice from women's tennis making it to the round of 16 at the ITA Northwest Regional Championships. Pioneers got a win over Pacific in a 1-0 shutout last week, and then recently announced yesterday, the Pioneers had 3 different student athletes chosen for Northwest Conference Student Athlete of the Week. One was a holdover from late last week. It was interesting. Cameron Ford finished runner-up for women's golf at the very first conference event, or very first golf event, of the year. And so was selected for the conference honor at the tail end of last week. And then went into this past weekend's tournament, the Wildcat Invitational, and won the whole thing by 21 strokes. The conference awards will be announced later today for the golf programs. And so I am eager to see if Cameron Ford is going to be selected yet again. Again, a 21-stroke victory for Cameron's very first individual medalist honor as a Lewis and Clark Pioneers student athlete. You can go to our website too. Click on that top side where it says games and check out this week's schedule. We have home women's soccer this weekend, and we have home volleyball. The volleyball program won both of their home games last weekend. Significant because that's where they're going to be for a while. 8 straight home games to start the Northwest Conference season after 2 games on the road. So you have 8 of the first 10 conference games at home, and you can find all of those links by going to games at the very top, or just type in lcpioneers.com/this week. All right, let's bring in our guest for today, a chance to talk to a junior from Lewis and Clark men's swimming. We're proud and eager to welcome in Eric Norman to the show. Eric, it's good to see you. It's good to have somebody back live with us on the show, because it's been far too long since we've had a chance to talk to a student athlete or anyone from Lewis and Clark with the show. So thanks for being our first guest out of this break that we've had. And it's kind of timely, right? Because your team has now started practice. How does it feel to get back into the swing of things with some fall practices right now?
Right. Yeah. And also, thank you so much. I appreciate being here. But yeah, being back in the water, being back at practice is such a relief, considering also we had COVID last year. So practices were always here and there, like every so often, maybe like a little bit of water training, like once an hour or something. But this year we're back full throttle, back in the weight room, back doing doubles, 2-hour practices, are back in full swing. So yeah, it feels really good to get back to training and getting back in shape.
And we're going to have some things to talk about too, with a new head coach for the program. We'll talk about Maria Martins in just a bit, as well as kind of what it's like to shift from being underclassmen to now being an upperclassman with the program, and some of the things that you've seen. But I always like the origin story when we have guests on lcpioneers.com live. You come to the Pacific Northwest from Ohio, so let's find out why you chose Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually, when I applied to Lewis and Clark, I was kind of like on a whim. I was like, okay, I'm probably going to stay on the East Coast, but for the heck of it, let's just apply to a West Coast school. So during the summer, actually, before my senior year, I think, or during my senior year, I applied to be a Compass Scholar for Lewis and Clark, and I was selected. So then they flew me out. I got to be a part of the Compass Scholars program. And while I was here, I also got to meet some of the staffing that was still here with Chris Fonts, and got to meet some of the team, and kind of from there just immediately knew I had to be here. Love the environment. I love the BCMB program that they talked about here. Love the swim team, location. It just, everything in writing and everything just looked so nice on paper. So I knew it was the one.
Well, and it's great to have you here. And I have to give you some credit because the conference championship, your first one that you ran back in 2020, was relevant to me because that was the first conference championship I'd ever been to for a swim program. I had never been to this event, but I had heard for the couple of years prior that I'd been at Lewis and Clark how big of a deal this was. Give me an idea of what the atmosphere is like at the conference swim meets, but also just how you felt with an all-conference performance in your first opportunity to compete at the championships.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, conference is our big end of season meet. We all taper, we all shave down, we all wear our super fast tech suits. This is the make or break meet, in my opinion. We have all the teams from the conference competing at the same pool. We swim at Federal Way, which is, from what I've experienced, is such a great pool. Got nice water, nice diving blocks. It's a really fast pool to swim in, and it's so hype. Everything is, you've built up so much energy and so much, you've trained so hard for this moment, and it all leads up to that one meet, and people are excited, people are cheering. It's a great meet to be a part of, and conference. Yeah.
So you go through there, right? And you set some school records, right? You were part of a relay team that set one, but also the 200 backstroke. What's it take in a typical collegiate swim season to be able to get to the point where you're in position to break those records, whether it's late in the season or at a conference championship?
Right. I like to think that swimming, as much as it is physical, it is also absolutely a very mental sport. You're coming in twice a day on a lot of days of the week. You got to lift weights. Swim practices are pretty grueling. In 2 hours, you have to fit in a lot of yardage, and you can show for the practices and you can do the workouts. But it really matters about how you're taking your training. You have to take it very seriously. If you get a set, you have to swim with intent. I think that's the most important part for me. Was I always have to have a goal every time I go into a set, making sure that I am getting something out of it. And I feel like, making sure that you swim with intent and making sure that you're on track.
Eric Norman's our guest on lcpioneers.com live. You can join us Tuesday and Thursdays, 11:30 a.m. To hear from student athletes, coaches, alumni, and different members from our Lewis and Clark College community. We heard you say biochemistry and molecular biology was the academic path that you chose. Give me an idea, what was it about that program, and over the first 2 years of that program, what have been some of the highlights for you?
Right. Yeah. So when I came here, they were talking about the curriculum. One of my favorite parts was being able to do undergraduate research with professors on campus and having a close-knit environment with other students. I feel like that's super critical, especially in something that's kind of intense like biochemistry and molecular biology. Getting lab experience is invaluable. Having students around you that are going through the same struggles as you is invaluable. Being able to bounce ideas off with my professors and with my fellow students has been, again, invaluable. I feel like that's really helped me be able to get to where I am today with BCMB, and I'm still in love with it. I'm still keeping on track with it, and I plan to keep on going forward with it.
And give me an idea too, as you transition right into this junior year. I always get the impression that this is kind of when the classes start getting really fun, right? You get kind of in the crux of the major. Do you have a class that in the first couple of weeks of fall semester has really stood out, or maybe something that's on the forecast? Give us an idea of what that looks like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big one that comes to mind is definitely molecular biology with Sharon Turgo. I'm in the lab section and I'm also in the lecture section. I feel like being a part of a biochemistry molecular biology major, you kind of going into it thinking, I want to learn about molecules. I want to learn about biological processes at a molecular level. And biochemistry or molecular biology really captures the essence of what molecular biology is. So it's been really, really interesting so far. Just had my first midterm. I'm also in the lab section, and we're doing some really cool things with manipulating DNA, and it's super cool. It's kind of what I've been waiting for, in my opinion.
Do you have an idea then what kind of the path forward is? Maybe professions or even opportunities for internships, right? Like things you maybe want to start looking at towards your graduation, which is, just over a year and a half away at this stage.
Yeah, it's funny too, because yeah, I'm halfway, but still not entirely sure. Healthcare has always been a really important thing to me. I've always been really passionate about LGBT and Native American health disparities. Maybe I'm thinking about going to healthcare in some way, trying to build up the communities in those areas. Also, recently, been getting really into like research or maybe even like forensic pathology. I think is also super interesting. Of course, I'm going to have to get some experiences in those, but yeah, I am not quite sure yet, but I'm still really looking into healthcare and hopefully making something meaningful out of it.
Oh, I've long said that one of my favorite things about Lewis and Clark students in general, but including student athletes, is folks come to Lewis and Clark and tend to find professions that have an impact on people. And it sounds like that's certainly kind of the direction that you want to go. So maybe we'll have you on again toward the tail end of next year, and we'll have a chance to kind of hear where you're going to wind up. Let's focus back on swimming then. I mentioned the coaching change. What's it like to go through a coaching change, and what are some of the things that you've enjoyed so far with the first couple of weeks of practice under a new head coach?
Right. Yeah. Oh, we actually have two new leadership figures in the pool this year. We've got Marilla Martins, he's our head coach, and we also have Caitlin Denise, she is our assistant coach, and both have been phenomenal so far. Yeah, you can tell that they bring so much passion and so much enthusiasm for the sport, like on deck and through their workouts. All their workouts are extremely rewarding. They're really pushing for us to get back in the water and being really encouraging with our transition back. Because, of course, like last year, we kind of all are trying to get back into shape because we haven't been swimming as much. Their pool access is kind of really limited. So for Merlot and Caitlin, and also Bill, of course, he's still a part of our crew, for them to be super encouraging and really working with us to make sure that we're building up at a pretty steady tempo instead of just getting right back into it has been really encouraging. I could definitely see like already within the first couple of weeks of us being back in the pool that we're all getting faster and we're all getting back our endurance. We're all getting our speed back. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what we can do this year with our new coaching.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it too. And part of any good leadership, like you said, with the two new coaches out of the three for your program, I think with returning student athletes, they can always help with that transition. And you're a captain, right? So describe what it's like to have a captaincy as a member of kind of like the student athlete side of the leadership. What's that like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It almost feels brand new. See, we've got new head coach, we have a new assistant coach, and now that we also have captain leadership roles this year, it also feels like we're being a part of this new transition. So I feel like as a captain, it's been so much fun this year because this is my first year being a captain, and I've always remember being a underclassman thinking, I like looking up to my captains and really appreciating that the work that they've always done for us. And now that I actually get to be a part of this new team in a way and being able to make a good experience, hopefully for everyone, it's really making me happy.
Well, you're an absolute pleasure to have on campus. Obviously, highly competitive with an all-conference selection out of the gate your first year. I got to ask you about goals then, right? We're weeks away from first competition, right? What are your personal competitive goals for the upcoming season?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, like the baseline is just get back in shape. But however, of course, the bar always has to be elevated. So, my huge goals for the end of this year, I would love to snatch those 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. records. I was super close to those my freshman year. If I could just work back up and hopefully get those, that'd be just the dream come true. And then our first competition is coming up like within the month. So, yeah, just looking to throw down some fast times just to see where I'm at. We've been practicing a lot of uh, race pace and lots of fast swimming in the pool. So hopefully those will translate at the meet. And I just want to get up and swim.
Yeah, we're looking at October 29th for the pentathlon, and then conference dual start the first week of November. Eric Norman, we were supposed to have you last week. I ran some tech issues. You did a courtesy to me to reschedule to today. We really appreciate getting a chance to talk to you. And thanks so much for joining us on lcpioneers.com live.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. That's Eric Norman, a junior for men's swimming. A lot of fun to get back out of the gate. And honestly, I really like the way that this is all working. So far, so good in the new setup that we have for lcpioneers.com live. And again, thank you for joining us wherever you are watching this on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and then eventually, like I said, we'll embed it on lcpioneers.com as well. I didn't tell this to Eric before the show, but you're welcome to disconnect and take off if you want to. I'm just going to close the loop on some things that are happening this week. You're welcome to stay. The schedule is posted on our website, as I've mentioned a couple of times. You can also go to our Lewis and Clark Pioneers social media hub, and this is a great place to get information about Lewis and Clark or follow us on different places as well, because you have Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. One of the goals of ours with the, I guess, I want to say thank you to all y'all watching, because thinking about the fact that we started the show out of the pandemic when spring events were canceled in March 2020. And then just hearing the feedback that we got from student athletes, coaches, and alumni had been on the show that they enjoyed the opportunity to talk. This has been great because we have obviously all these social media platforms, but one that we didn't really do a lot of with was our YouTube, right? And so now with lcpioneers.com live, we've had a whole bunch of folks subscribe. We've had a whole bunch of people watch more of the show on demand, which you can do. You can watch all of our shows on demand at youtube.com/lcpios. That was something I didn't necessarily expected when we started the show. So you can go to this website and check that out. Those are all the links for both our main handles, but then all of the team handles too, as you scroll down. And then, like I mentioned, click on the games link at the top of the webpage, and you can check out all the upcoming games this weekend. We're going to have the Blue Gold Invite, which is on the road. So the cross-country teams off a pretty solid start, including Frankie Reed being named being named the Northwest Conference Student Athlete of the Week last week, competing at the Dellinger Invite down in Eugene, Oregon at the University of Oregon. Very high-profile meet for Frankie, finished in the 80s against primarily NCAA Division I competition. So this weekend, head coach Matthew Burrow will be splitting the squad. Half of them will head to Wisconsin and take part in the Blue Gold Invite, and then on the second, the other half will take part at the Charles Bowles Invitational, which is hosted by Willamette down in Salem. Men's golf continues competing at the George Fox Invitational this weekend, and then we'll have road football. Lewis and Clark travels to Spokane to face Whitworth, a 1 o'clock kick from the Pine Bowl down in Spokane, or up in Spokane. And then we'll have home women's soccer and women's volleyball. It's going to be a doubleheader coming up this weekend. Very excited about that, to have everyone here on campus in Portland for a chance to watch those teams compete. You had, like I said, volleyball win both of their matches last weekend, and then women's soccer with a split. We'll see how everything goes this upcoming weekend. I believe the game on Friday for Lewis and Clark volleyball is faculty and staff appreciation. It is, and it's an orange out. So if you were watching with someone on campus, or you know somebody on campus who wants to come to the game, it's a 7 o'clock start, and that's an orange out. So wear as much orange as you possibly can. And then coming up on Saturday night, a 6 o'clock start, that is Dig Pink Night, which is very big in the volleyball community, helping raising awareness against breast cancer and trying to help fund some of the great organizations who do good work to try to find a cure for that awful disease. So to Eric Norman for joining us, to you for watching, we are certainly appreciative. of you joining us on the show. And of course, you can always reach out with some feedback, both in the comments as well as our email, sports@lclark.edu. Maybe there is a student athlete or an alumnus that you want to see on the show. We'd love to hear from you at sports@lclark.edu. We are planning to have Jessica Cerny join us, a dual sport athlete for Lewis and Clark, both a member of women's basketball and women's track and field. That is our plan for this upcoming Thursday, but we may have 2 guests as well. We'll let you know on all of our social media platforms. You can find them at lcpioneers.com/social. For everyone who made it possible, I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks so much for having fun with us. We will see you again on Thursday for more lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Nick Lombardi. Something I've learned at Winterim this year is how to communicate a vision.
My biggest takeaway from Winterim is probably the networking. Getting to talk to everybody, connect with people for the future is one of the most valuable things, and I did Winterim last year, came back for more this year.
I think a way in which my liberal arts education has really helped me and my group formulate our ideas is that concept of critical thinking and having many different backgrounds, me being an econ major and my 2 group mates being chemistry majors. We really get that well-rounded background, well-rounded ideas.
I think overall it's absolutely worth doing. You find yourself not only being more prepared for, say, well, this next semester, on top of being more prepared for life in general.
I think everyone should take intro to chemistry because the chemistry department here is phenomenal. Everyone I've known has had a good experience with everyone in that department, so I think it's a worthwhile course to take.
What is one class that everyone should take at Lewis and Clark? I really enjoyed education in a complex world. You kind of get to discuss all the issues that exist within education today, and you get to kind of explore that by going to classrooms firsthand and volunteering with children, which I thought was a really wonderful experience.
One class that everybody should take at Lewis and Clark is anything with Kundai though. I think he definitely changed how I thought about rhetoric and media studies and just education in general.
For me, it was international affairs, just intro to international affairs, because I think it really gives a good perspective on important issues around the world.